Good afternoon. Thank y'all for coming out again. I'd like to introduce U.S. Coast Guard Captain Mark Blond up here with me today. Give you an update on what today's operations have entailed. We've had about 100 searchers that are working out of the Brunswick, Jacksonville, and Savannah inlets. That's on 35 boats. That number's up a little bit from this morning. We've had about 50 searchers working out of the Charleston, South Carolina inlet, and that's on 8 boats. We've completed the search of about 5,000 square miles today. Savannah Fire Rescue even had their fire boat out offshore looking as well today, helping us with that search. Not a lot of updates on what was found. There's not really been a lot found again today. Donations, again, JFRD.com, help find them is the link. Tomorrow, we're in some critical times right now. Time is really, as we said at noon, time has really become our enemy, and we're really having to move forward with this. Something's got to happen. So we're going to continue the search, but it's going to be moving north. We're not going to be putting anybody out of the Jacksonville Inlet or the Brunswick Inlet. The models are showing, the Coast Guard models are showing us that we need to be concentrating in the South Carolina area. So we have coordinated with South Carolina and Savannah, and we're going to be putting some boats out of the South Carolina Inlet tomorrow and Charleston, South Carolina. Anybody wishing to volunteer, it needs to be as we have been saying, it needs to be a boat capable of working 60 miles offshore and for extended periods of time. So they need to have that fuel range. And if they're interested, they can call Chief Trace Barrow again at 904-813-5315. Again, as I do every one of these press conferences, I want to thank the community for their support, and I want to thank the Coast Guard for what they're doing. It's every time I meet with the captain, it's just unbelievable what he tells me is going on out there. So, Captain, if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Chief Powers. As I said, the Coast Guard continues to search. Today we had 3 different aircraft and 3 Coast Guard cutters searching offshore for a total of about 17,000 square miles this afternoon. This evening we have another aircraft going up here shortly, and we have 2 more Coast Guard cutters that'll be staying out throughout the evening and overnight as we continue search patterns. As I'd mentioned earlier today, one of the airplanes actually as far north as Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, searching from 90 to about 140 miles offshore as our furthest zone, which really again typifies that we continue to be in a race against the clock as our search area has continued to expand rapidly. We have not found any additional debris that we can correlate to the vessel today that would narrow down the search for Justin and Brian. So as this pattern continues to expand, we're going to search this afternoon. We're going to search through the night, and as Chief mentioned, we have plans already for a first light search tomorrow morning. At which time, as we've been doing, we'll meet together with all of our partners involved in the search and determine the way ahead and whether or not we still have an opportunity to be successful. Thank you.
Do you have a deadline tomorrow when you're going to make the decision whether to keep going?
We don't have a set deadline. The way that we've been working is as we go, one phase at a time. We will by tomorrow morning, because that is a point where the search really does grow to be untenable. We're going to have a conversation about whether we can continue with an active search or whether we move into regular patrol activity.
Captain, this is Robert with First Coast News. In terms of online chatter, there was some discussion about the possibility of some activity or something being found near Tybee Island. Can you address that? And then also about 5:30, there was some chatter too about possibly finding something else through the South Carolina Center about a life raft. Can you address those?
So let me address both. First, there was an active search and rescue case off of Tybee Island today being conducted by Sector Charleston. That was completely separate from this case. So I know some people picked up some radio chatter on that. We've already talked to our counterparts up there, and that is in fact a separate case. We found a life ring, a life vest was found today. We've already had the discussion with the family. That does not correlate to anything known to have been on board. Its markings were very distinct, and that was not a correlatable event.
What would you say to those online and the family who are hearing these things? They're getting excited and hopeful, and and then we hear it doesn't correlate with the vote. I mean, what do you say to these folks that might be?
You know, there's really nothing that I can do or say about, you know, the online world that we live in. And the reality is, for every 300 or 400 things that go out there that might constitute noise, there's always one or two tidbits every day that we take a look at twice and see if that's something that we can correlate or something that would give us a clue to move. You know, the reality is that's the world we live in, and we're, you know, we constantly scour to see what's out there and what other clues may be there. And when we do see things about debris, we make sure that we've correlated that back through our resources so that we can, like in the case of the Tybee Island rescue, we try to get the information back to you as fast as we can so that those stories don't grow their own life.
How are you guys feeling and doing now?
And Greg, they had said earlier they would reevaluate this evening. Now they are saying
You know, we're still together. We're still searching today. We're still we have a plan through the night. I think with everybody, and certainly with the family, as well as the extended families of Fairfax, the firefighters here in Jacksonville, as well as our Coast Guard community and our partners, we're all struggling, and we're all hoping to find something that would give us that would spark an ability to contract the search. But the reality is that we've gone more than 2 days now since the last time we found anything that would allow us to pinpoint or to circumscribe the search efforts that are going on, which is why it's important to note that, you know, we're rapidly reaching the size of a search grid that becomes untenable for dedicated search operations.
When you say you're moving it north, what is that going to look like? Moving everything north, command center, everything?
No, so to clear up what I said, we're going to have boats going out of the Savannah and Charleston inlets. The command center is going to remain here. We're going to run operations from here through our counterparts in those two cities. But the command center is going to remain right where it's at.
There's volunteers that were here. They can just go up maybe to Savannah or Brunswick if they want.
So they need to call Chief Barrow and give him the number of, the size of their boat, you know, and the number of people they have, and he will take a list, and then in the morning at 7 o'clock he'll start calling them, telling them where to go. But we need everybody to coordinate through Chief Barrow. So that's very important that volunteers hear that, so that we are able to account for everybody that's going offshore, make sure everybody is coming back safe.
Captain, given the time frame, the U.S. Coast Guard believe it could still possibly stay alive out there?
Well, as I've said already, we search one search period at a time. So through tonight and through this evening and all the way through the night, and then our first light search tomorrow, those are set and those are going to happen. It'll be during that first light search that we'll kind of have our next set of conversations about what the future may look like.
And so if you're just now tuning in with us, we just got an update from the Coast Guard and JFRD. The key takeaway, the search is not over, but they are reaching a critical point. They are planning to search tomorrow, but now that search is moved even further north. They're not taking out any boats. No searches will come from the Mayport area. All of the searches, all the boats that go out will come from the South Carolina inlets. So that's Charleston, and that's also Savannah. So those are where that's where the focus is going to be centralized. Now, tomorrow morning, they're going to do a search with their aircrafts, and that's when they're going to get to that critical decision-making point. They don't have a set deadline for when they're going to make the decision to continue searching or to call off the search, but tomorrow morning will be a critical point where they'll start having those conversations. We heard the Coast Guard captain say that we have gone 2 days now without that target that we got out of that tackle bag. That was a really great moment where they were able to narrow down that search. In the last 2 days, they have not gotten that, which means everything has been drifting and their search area has only gotten larger. And so this is a critical point for them. We did speak with a friend of Justin Walker's who works with the Fairfax Fire Department down there as a paramedic, a very close friend of Justin Walker, and you could tell he was trying to stay strong for the family, for the rest of his fellow firefighters, but he spoke with us about the kind of man Justin Walker is.
I just can't say enough about the type of person that he is. He is a literal shirt off his back kind of guy. He will do anything for anybody. it's a guy that just doesn't know what quit means. He's as relentless as they come.
And that's what they're trying to be in this search, relentless. Again, it's getting to a critical point. Tomorrow, they're going to have to make some decisions depending on what they find in that early morning search. If you're one of the boaters that's gotten home from doing the search, if you're someone who has a boat capable of going 60 miles offshore, they are looking for you, but not to come again to this Mayport inlet. They're looking for you to go out of Charleston or the Savannah area as they focus that search into South Carolina. We're going to post a number on news4jax.com for you to call. It's with Chief Barrow, and there you'll get an assignment, and we'll be continuously following this. They are going to continue to run command out of Mayport, and that's where we'll be tomorrow morning. But tomorrow, if they don't find something, the Coast Guard captain said it will get to a point where the search is untenable. Reporting live in Mayport, Kelly Wiley, Channel 4, the local station.